All right, welcome to another 902 gaming video, and I'm going to be reviewing the new cards that were spoiled. I think the whole set's been spoiled now. We have 302 of 302, and it's called Eater of Virtue. Eater of Virtue, legendary artifact equipment. It's a 1-mana artifact equipment that equips for 1, so that's pretty good, even in and of itself. Okay, so whenever equipped creature dies, exile it. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Okay, so for that you're already getting good. I think there was a axe or something at one point that was. I think it was 2 equipped though, not 1. So 1 and 1 per +2. It's pretty good. As long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, the equipped creature has flying. The same is true for first strike. Oh wow! So anything it exiles, it gives it to the next creature. That's pretty freaking sweet. Holy schmoly. That's going to be an auto include in anything that's playing equipment. That's really sweet. Definitely going to see a ton of play. The other thing, yeah, I think it was all commons that were spoiled. We have the gain lands back in standard. These are all reprints. They come into play tapped, and you gain 1 life when they come into play. And then we have Uncharted Haven, which just as the normal comes into play tap land, and you pick a color, and it taps for that color. So one of the first cards that stuck out to me was Lucky Offering, and it's a 1-mana sorcery, and you can destroy target artifact with a mana value 3 or less, and you gain 3 life. With all the artifacts and stuff like that, I can see this being a very important sideboard card. There's a lot of other sideboard cards that destroy target artifact and enchantment. So the funny thing is it doesn't target one of the best ones in Asika's Chariot in standard. Then we have Disruption Protocol, which is basically a 3-mana counterspell, but you get to reduce the cost by 1 for tapping an untapped artifact. And we have Futurist Sentinel. This is another. I'm surprised this is a common, but maybe I'm overvaluing it. I guess it doesn't have evasion or anything like that, I suppose. But a 4-mana 6/6 for in blue that has a crew of 3, which, if memory serves, the pilot tokens that are made can crew this. So that's pretty good, I think. I mean, it doesn't have any evasion, but I could still see this being played as a. We also have Mirror Shell Crab, which is very interesting. Again, I say that seems like blue is getting this ward thing, which protects its own creatures. Channel. So 3 mana, discard a counter target spell or ability. So it's a mana leak on a creature for 3 mana. And not only is it spell, it's also an ability. So any triggered ability or anything like that, you can counter it with this. So this card could be very, very important to control style deck. I still think it's a mistake to give all these blue creatures ward, but this is a pretty sweet one. And then we have Mnemonic Sphere, which is 2 mana. And we've seen cards like this before where you can basically pay 2 mana and then 2 mana to draw 2 cards. But the key with this one is that you can pay 1, discard it, and draw a card. So I think any of the 1-mana spells that were printed will likely be replaced by this, like any of the 1-mana draw card. The ability to like look at the top card and then put it in the graveyard, so you can kind of like scry half, sort of, and then draw a card. I think this will see a ton of play in standard. It might not be quite good enough, but I think it will be. This one here, so Suit Up, it's 3 mana. You can turn a vehicle into an artifact creature with power toughness 4/5. So essentially this turns any vehicle, or actually any creature, into a artifact creature with base tower and toughness 4/5. So if you just have a vehicle with no creature out there, your opponent might think it's safe to attack. And now I'm not 100% sure that this will see play, but the fact that you get to also, if it was just this first ability, I don't think it would see play. And I also don't think it would cost 3 mana, but the fact that you also get to draw a card makes me think that it will see some play. I don't know how much, but I think it's good enough to see play. We have Debt to the Kami, which is a 3 mana instant. Target opponent exiles a creature they control, or target opponent exiles an enchantment they control. Again, when you give the opponent the choice, they can always choose the thing that they don't want to get rid of. So if they have both of these, then it might not be as good. Thankfully, it isn't. I don't think this would see play at all if it was a sorcery. But they seem to be slipping enchantment removal back into black. It was there originally a long time ago. It used to cost a bunch of life to do it. So this could be an important card for black. Then we have Kaito's Pursuit, which is another mind rot, basically with an ability. So target player discards 2 cards. Ninjas and rogues gain menace. So this could also be something that is played in the ninja and rogue deck as well. So this is another one that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if it replaces stuff like Go Blank or any of the other mind rot alternatives, especially the Inscription. I don't think it replaces that, but there's a possibility that it will, but I don't think so. Then we have this one here. We have Reckoner's Bargain. So 2 mana instant. So this is something that I've been talking about before, like with Deadly Dispute and stuff like that, where I never thought a card like this would actually be very good, but turns out that it is. At least in this format right now. I mean, given that the creatures that we have, given Eye Twitch, and the Shambling Geist and stuff like that, it ends up being very good because when you sacrifice a creature for value and then gain value, it turns out to be very good. So sometimes you can sacrifice the Skullport Merchant, so you'll gain 3 life and draw 2 cards. I don't know if it's necessarily better than Deadly Dispute, because Deadly Dispute ramps you and draws you 2 cards. But sometimes gaining a little bit of life could matter. So I could see this replacing Deadly Dispute in certain builds and stuff like that. Virus Beetle, 2 mana, 1/1. So basically we got another Elder Disciple here. Enters the battlefield, each opponent discards cards. Although I think Elder Disciple only says target player discards a card, or target opponent discards a card, or I don't think it's all opponents, but it could be. And we have Experimental Synthesizer. When it enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library until the end of turn. You may play that card. So for 1 mana, you get to exile the top card of your library and get to play it. That's pretty good, I think, just in and of itself. Then you can sacrifice it and create a 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. That's also very good. The only thing is this will never get destroyed by your opponent. There's no reason for them to destroy this. You would just get to exile a card. But then you get to exile it again when you sacrifice this. So the first time you get to do it, you get to basically draw a card for 1 mana. Then the next time you get to do it for 3 mana, and then you also get a token as well. So this is a really good card. Again, it'll depend on the format and stuff like that, but I think it's good enough to see play. And we have Kami's Flair, 2 mana. Kami's Flair deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. It also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller if you control a modified creature. So this also deals 2 damage to the opponent. So this one could replace a few of the 3 mana, like the Dragon's Fire and all that. It could replace those just because it actually deals damage to the opponent, especially if you're playing modified creatures or equipments or auras or anything like that. I could easily see this replacing that card in that deck for sure. Even also potentially even playing dragons as well. Jukai Preservers, 4 mana, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So it can basically, it's a 4 mana, 4/4. So you can put it on itself, or you can discard it and put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. So this will be played mostly for this, and then sometimes for this part here. So they're basically just split cards. Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible, and you gain 2 life. So I could see this being played alongside Snakeskin Veil. This is kind of what this is what green was kind of missing. So I could easily see that being played. We got a Brute Suit, 3 mana, 4/3 with a crew of 1. Vigilance. Apparently they did not learn from their mistakes from the last time. So then we have Iron Apprentice, which basically is this is just modular on there. Whenever a creature or whenever any of the artifacts with counters on them died, you get to move the counters around. I guess they decided not to bring modular back. I guess it changes modular because I guess modular was artifact creature, and this is just any creature. So Ninja's Kunai, you can pay 1, sacrifice, deal 3 damage to any target. That could see some play too. It's basically a lightning bolt on an equipment. And the fact that it's any target again is important. To Patchwork Automaton, 2 mana, 1/1 has a ward 2, and anything with the ability to protect itself has the possibility to be very, very strong. Hopefully we don't get into affinity type stuff. I'm sure there's something there that somebody will probably figure out. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, it gets +1/+1. So difficult to kill creature. Then we have Thundersteel Colossus, 7 mana, 7/7, trample and haste with a crew of 2. Okay. This is interesting. It seems cheap to crew, but because it's 7 mana, unless there's some ways to cheat out big artifacts, but I don't know if this likely won't see play at all. I don't think, unless there's some way to really get it out into play for cheap. And that's it. That was all that was spoiled. The rest of the set's done. I'm gonna review all the cards, and then I'm gonna kind of go over and see what I think are the most important cards. White definitely got the best cards in the set. I think black got the worst. Blue, and then green, and then red. So white and red definitely got the goods in this set. I think maybe blue might be third because of the ninjutsu mechanic and stuff like that. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. That's all the spoilers. I didn't go over everything. I don't want to go over too much of the stuff that's just comments that I don't ever think we'll see standard play. There are a few that I think will. Anyways, hopefully you enjoy this video, and I'll see you later. In the mono blue deck.